So welcome everybody, and hello, little chickadees. Thank you for being my patron. And as promised, here is, I'm having a miracle moment. Like who you're gonna get to meet today is a dear friend of mine, what we've met over 5, 6 years ago, Lena. Has it been in Norway?
Yes, we did in 2014.
2014. So it has been some years, 7 years. Woo, 7 years. Okay, I
Yeah,
did the
we
math,
met in
right?
January, so it is 7 years. Yeah.
It is. It is. It is. Oh my gosh. That is amazing. So, anyhow, today's message, we're on day 35 of the Course of Miracles, right? And the lesson for today is my mind is a part of God's, our goddess, creator. You fill in the blank. I am very holy. Now, what's funny, okay, is that as I've been saying this, um, I'll go back to the actual and kind of reenact it. But what happened serendipitously or by coincidence, it was how many days ago, Line? You
It
just,
was last week.
it was last week. So I would
Mhm.
have been 7 days ago in the Course of
Yeah.
Miracles. I had just finished my vision board and I had said, I want to connect to creative people, like minded people internationally. And it was like a few minutes, and Line popped up, and we hadn't talked in 4 years. You have to understand, we haven't like connected on the internet in 4 years. And so it was like perfect, right? I just said yes. And what's so beautiful, you'll discover listening to Line is, she and I are kind of in the same frequency. I don't have to know why. I can feel like this is a divine moment, a holy conversation. And so we met this morning and we've been talking, and she has done parts of the Course in Miracle. As all of my friends will tell me, Tanya, I'm intimidated by it because I never finished it. Well, I never have either. This is my go at it. And in committing to doing the whole thing video wise, it's raising my intention. Okay. So I want everyone that wants to know, how do you do spiritual work that you find hard, dedicate it for the benefit of all. Then something just kind of begins to lift you. I don't totally understand it. I'm just telling you my experience. So, did I plan to meet with Line today? No. Did my higher self plan to meet with Line today? Yes. And where Lena and I agree, like totally agree, is that we feel we're here to empower women. Bottom line, we love men, but we're here to
Yes, we
empower
do.
women. We love that. And Lena teaches women how to become the queen of their own queendom. And that's why this lesson is basically doing that. Now, I want to go over each little part. I want to talk about the resistance of this and how it showed up for me. And then Lena and I are going to discuss, how do you, as a woman, with all of your past programming, all of the media images of women, decide what your image is going to be? What are you going to project? Well, subconsciously, you are projecting an image if you believe it or if you don't. And what gets projected if you're not conscious or intending is the lowest opinion you have of yourself. So when I began saying I am very holy, I heard an auditory pushback where I couldn't stop giggling, like, oh hell, if I'm holy, then we're all going to hell in a handbasket. I mean, this is literally the talk back I was getting, right? And so I started giggling. Further conversation with Line and I realized that giggling, making fun of myself, was a way that I covered up being picked on in high school. I didn't understand I was projecting an insecure image. So when we say, I am very holy, check your tone and see, like, what we're doing here isn't saying, is this right or is this wrong? What we're saying is, have you developed the ability to integrate happiness to the point of satisfaction? Satisfaction is happiness in motion. So it has a little bit of struggle in it. It has a little bit of learning in it. It has a lot of celebration in it, though. And this is the part as women where we don't embrace our sacred boundaries. We don't say with authority, like in high school, and if every girl, if this could just touch one girl who's picked on in high school, and if we could help one girl in high school sit in her throne, sit aligned, put on her crown, boom, and say, my boundaries are sacred in her mind. If I could have done that in high school, I wouldn't have spent most of my life making fun of some of the most transformational times in my life. So not only are my good times holy, so are my bad times. And so this is about embracing all of that. So Line, that was an introduction. That's a part about, that. And, what do you have to say about this and the whole experience of us connecting and the whole miraculous conversation about women owning, being, living, dressing, decorating, drinking from goblets, resetting our environments as the matron, the queen? What do you have to say?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing that we connect on this day. It was just last week. I just have this sense that you were in my aura, and even to have that, to pick up on that, you cannot be like in a stressful life, because then you don't pick up on signs like that. But I was just sitting there, and it was not that I was not doing anything, but I was kind of relaxed, and I sensed you. And then I took off my phone and I said, Tanya, it's so long since we have connected, and I think we planned to do that last year, and we didn't. And then I said, do you have time sometime next week? And then you said, yes, I do. So we planned to meet today, but we didn't plan anything about what this meeting was about. So when we connected today, it was so funny because you said, I am so looking forward to what you want to tell me, or what you want to share. And I said, yeah, me too. I have no plan. I have no idea. I just felt that we should connect. So I am also so curious about what we're going to talk about today. But there was something strange that happened before we connected, because I was in my bathroom and I was preparing for our meeting. And as I said, I had no agenda with our meeting. I was just curious. And then it's like a voice inside my head, like I'm saying to myself, and believe me, I don't normally say this to myself, like on a Thursday without any intention and awareness about these things. I was just said, I am Line Athene, God's daughter, princess of heaven, and queen of my inner queendom. And then I was thinking, or I was starting to hum a song, and I haven't listened to that song since forever, and that was Conquest of Paradise, and that is a very majestic song. So when I heard I heard that, and I was like, where does this come from? And then I called you. Yeah, then I called you in that energy, Line Athene, God's daughter, princess of heaven, conquest of paradise. Hi, Tanya. How are you?
And as we were conversation, we were talking about women's divine images, like really, when we talk about what the media has done with the masculine divine image, it's everywhere. The King of Heaven, the Son of God, everybody bow down, and people forget Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene. Those two women, like people don't connect that those two women made it possible for Jesus to rise from the dead, because when his body was like dead, who wrapped that stuff? I mean, 3 days, let's talk practicality, right? So divinity, women have this royal divinity that we're there at births, at deaths, at the stinky times. And sometimes we forget we're also the royal image. Like for Mary to watch her son and walk on the side of him as she is queen, we pray the Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women. Blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God. Let that sink in for a minute. Mother of God. Who came first? So when we talk about regalness, when we talk about our world, when I really feel when women rise to their throne again, honor the messes you've been a part of, you're able to see, consolidate, get clarity, and intend. So, when we say we're daughters, we're not saying we're the only one.
I hope I have many sisters and brothers
that are kings and queens.
Yes, absolutely.
Like that's the piece we want to understand. Queendom doesn't mean you're alone. No, I think Lena and I, part of my journey, heroine's journey, is to be a woman and to be a divine woman, to be a woman that is holy. Now, these are things I used to aspire to because I judged my life so bad. And I kept thinking, as we are taught as women, as we're taught in some strict religions, our connection to our wild side isn't holy. If it wasn't for us, we tempted Adam, so the world is all screwed up. Like that is the most disempowering story ever, and it isn't even true. It really isn't true. But who needs to know that? Not the masses, just you. That's what I want you to understand. It's not the majority. In your world, the only person that has to get this is you. No one else has to believe it. And then once you get it, once you're on your throne, like Lena was experiencing, it's like I've been blooming like a flower. I'm not doing the blooming. I'm not doing the planning. However, I am doing the intending. Okay, so there is participation in developing a neural pathway, a point of view. And it is a reclaiming of your sacred boundaries. That's what I've been learning. And it isn't blaming anyone else for crossing them anymore. It's I remove myself. I take responsibility for the movement. And that's what you expect a queen to do, right? Make a clear decision from a divine perspective, not from an emotional one, but from feeling, like you said, you heard dun da da da, dun dun da da da, and wearing a crown, Those are some tactile things. Like, this is practical. We talk about the theory of it, but you know, if I walked into the grocery store with this crown on my head, what would happen? Right? Look, Lena has hers on, right?
Yes.
If I walked in there with this on my forehead, man, you know why they made these? Let me explain. Acupressure. Gold is physical, silver is spiritual, quartz is clarity, right on top of the pineal gland, right? Acupressure points right here for me to pay attention and think, don't emotionally respond. Why they had kings and queens sit on thrones is because they wanted their energy field to move, boom, boom, boom. Feet had to be on the ground. If it was on a stool, that was like, okay, if we're going to feel comfortable, what do we need to do? You understand? So it was like, so the best kings and queens were ones that took the posture in order to lead a group of people in a lifestyle. The ones that were mean were the ones that used this ability in order to hoard stuff. So to really be on the throne, there comes a part in your development where you say, I am getting on my throne for the benefit of all. And I think that's when we are embracing the holiness. And I can speak reverently about myself beyond my mistakes, because my mistakes then get transformed for the benefit of all. Now, we've all heard it, but the daily practice of just one little sentence, being willing to listen to one little sentence and to claim just one little moment that I am holy, I am a queen, I am queen of all I see, I have been given dominion of the stories I tell myself, I am connected to a creative source that loves me through and through. Feel it? That's what it feels like to be on a throne and to wear your crown. So even if you do it in your own prayer closet, you know, having a crown, having metal around your head helps elevate the energy and the connection, you know? So we might do a little crown making ceremony or something, Lene. You might consider that.
Yeah.
Help women
That's a good
make
idea.
Wouldn't that be fun? Instead of just talking about it?
A lot of fun.
Wouldn't that be fun? And then these are, they're not so much easy, but they're doable. You can make your own stone. This is also a crown. Just know, crowns don't just go here, they go here. They'll amplify energy that way as well. So tell me something else. Like, tell me when you go to talk about your value as a woman. Like, you were sharing with me that story about that great process, because I would love, you know, the people that listen to this video to have this process you shared with me.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah. So yeah.
And first I will just say that you know, this is not about me and me playing around like a queen. You know, I think that almost every girl had this dream when they were small. They were small princesses, and then they even fantasized maybe if they could marry the prince of the country. Here in Norway, you know, the crown prince is just 2 years older than me. So when I was younger, I thought there might be a chance that I can marry the crown prince. But you know, this is not when I'm talking about, you know, being the queen of my own inner queendom and help other people to step into their queendom. It is not about like playing queens, and it's not about me. It is about gods, and I can use the word God. I don't have any bad associations to that. um, it's about God's plan for me, and I feel that I and everyone else was placed on this planet for a reason. And if I'm just focusing on, the difficult part of being a human being, all the challenges and all the stuff that can be frightening, I will not be able to raise above it and to reach out and help people and do God's plan. I have to have like walk with grace and power. That is something I tell myself daily. Walk with grace and power. And I feel, when I straighten my back and I put on my high heels, I love wearing high heels.
Yes.
Then I get into this feeling, that, and I connect to God and his plan for me. And if I then want to hide, and I have done that for years, I am very good at hiding. I can talk with everybody if they come into my house. I won't stop talking about this because I love it and it's my passion. But as soon as anyone said, yeah, but you should come out, you should not hide there. Oh no, I'm not going to be visible. I'm okay here. So, but now I have understood that if God is going to be able to use me, and I would really like that, I have to own this power. So that is what it is about, God's plan for me, and me owning that, and owning, the power that he gives me, because I think that you get what you need to do the plan that he has for you. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes. And
Yeah.
heal, please, every woman listening to this. What began, I have to tell you how accurate what she's saying about heals. And I want you to understand also, for anyone here that wants to be a personal growth teacher, what we were sold a lot and why we spent a lot of money with mentors. They were selling us 6 inches. Do you understand? We were sitting in the chairs, and we wanted to be we wanted to be standing up and 6 inches taller than everybody else so we could have a different perspective. So anyone that is like a $1 million messenger will crave and follow for a long time people who are just standing 6 inches taller. Okay. So when I was real depressed and everything was falling apart, Line, like I was telling you, my inner guidance said, put on some heels, put a book on your head, and walk around your living room. And when I first heard that, I went, me on heels? I've been barefoot most of my life, okay? And, I'm that earth energy person. And I said, but I do have some heels I love, that I don't wear. When I would teach, when I would go to teach, I would put on these red leather heels I loved, and they were so comfortable. So I began walking around the house in these heels. What occurred is that over the next 90 days, my body reduced 80 pounds. And I kept thinking, what am I doing? Well, I had freed up, I had aligned. In order to do that, for me to get used to heels again, to work on my calves, to work on walking slow with intention, I had to slow down my walk. My whole body got out of being sitting down, worrying, doing this, into standing up, because you have to be poised and graceful when you walk on heels. You have to be mindful. And after 40 days of that, guess what? No matter if I was barefoot or not, I walked with poise. I walked with intention. So I don't want you to get a pair of heels on if orthopedically it's not good for you. But if you have, even if it's 1 inch heels, even if it's 2 inch heels, This isn't about stripper heels, even though those are fun and you see the world from a whole different perspective. Um, and you can twirl on those babies. However, you have to understand height adds a different perspective visually. And so you can see not only the best of you, but the best of others. Because people, when you walk in a room and you're poised, for them to meet your eye gaze, they have to be poised. Do you understand? So this whole thing is more than just a good idea. You connect to a whole different reality. Okay? And women get this opportunity more than men. You know, we always talk a lot about the opportunities that men have over us. However, you know, we have this as culturally acceptable. Men that do drag do totally change their personality when they put on heels, right? So imagine that. Just imagine that confidence that they get and that ability to be bold. And all of that happens when they put on a pair of heels. So I want you to know some of the things you already have will help you attach to your queendom, like Line is helping women do. Okay, so all right. So okay, that was so much fun. Tell me, keep going about that story.
Yes.
This thing, I want everyone like to get prepared. Lena's going to kind of guide you through an experience by telling her story. And then we want you to do it and give us some feedback. Like you can post if you did do this exercise, right? Okay, go ahead, tell.
Yeah. I came across an exercise, I think it is 1.5 week ago. And it is a process to get clarity. And I was just guiding myself through this process. So that's fully possible. And you can also do it with your clients if you have clients. But I was asked to get out on stage. Just imagine that there were thousands of people that were there to listen to you. And you were there on the stage. And then when you saw out on the audience, all the people that you had met during your life were there. It was your ex-boyfriends, ex-husbands, ex-bosses, the bosses that you have now, people from high school, you know, popular people that you didn't connect with at that time, but also your friends that you have now and your family now, and everybody in your life was there to listen to what you had to say. And then I was there on stage, and for this exercise, you can use whichever topic that you want, but I was asked to use the question about money and worth, self-worth. And then I was on the stage and I was going to tell the audience, you know, my work with people is so good that I'm going to raise my fees now with 50%. And then I was just going to look at the faces in the audience and look for their reactions. And at the same time, I was feeling in my body, you know, what kind of reactions did I have to what I just said? And, you know, that was so strong for me because the first thing I heard the audience say was, yeah, well, Line, we hear you. But if you had said this, like when you went to high school, we would have believed you, you know, because you did so well. And if any one of us would be really successful, we would have believed it would be you. But now, like 30 years later, what do you actually have to show for? You don't live in a castle. You don't have like this fancy, expensive car. Why should we go to you? And, you know, I could feel myself like crumble and say, oh, they are so right. I know this. What do I have to say? You know, I want to go off the stage again. And it was like really this bad feeling in my stomach. But then I was just imagining this, you know, and then I could see that I again found this posture of grace and power. And it was like I was saying to myself, hold on a minute. I don't live in a castle. I don't have this fancy car. But believe it or not, that is not my dream. I don't care about that. If I had $1 million, I would not have moved from my house. I love my house. I love where it is. And I am living next to the people that I love the most. But what I help people with is transformation and your inner journey, and it is about real happiness, that you actually create happy feelings in your body and you have this freedom. You feel totally free and your life has meaning and you are fulfilled. And those things you cannot buy even if you have $1 million. And then and then I could see the audience, those who knew me the most, they were like starting to clap and they said, but this is true. We know her. We have noticed, we have followed her on her journey, and what she's telling is true. We all go to her when we have problems, and she knows so many strange things that you never heard about before. And
that's
this
that high
exercise.
priestess. That's that high priestess of you, like, ask me a question if you dare, because I'm about to tell you some stuff I don't even know where it comes from. I know.
Exactly, because I don't plan it, but it comes from just the experience going through this inner heroine's journey. And I remember as a child, and this is like crazy, I have not heard any, or I don't know any in my family that thought like me when I was a little child. But there was a song in my church that was called God Has a Plan with Your Life. And already like I was 6 or something, I love that song because every time we sung it, I said, I know that is true. And I cannot wait until I found out what that plan is. So I have always been very connected to this idea, what is God's plan for me and my journey, to put up like the scenario that you are going, to be a queen maker and help people step into their queendom, the workshops or the schools you have to go through in life to be able to experience things like that can actually help people in that process. That is really difficult, that it has been a life full of really hard challenges. And when you are in the middle of those, you just like, what is the point with this? Why do I have to experience all this? You are almost broken,
So like you said something very powerful. Like there's a couple of things I love about that story is that you went through the whole process of what a queen goes through when she's integrating. Like I said, queendom comes from your feet on up. And that's when information coming down, right? So when you told that story and everyone listening to your story, you could imagine yourself standing on stage and proclaiming your self-worth to this whole arena, right? And you can expect, if you're doing it so that you can claim your queendom, you will feel the contraction. You notice Lena went with it. And then she brought her consciousness to it. Like, this is how you slow down, right? You bring your consciousness to it. And she said, I stood with poise and grace. So you can look at something crunched down and you know it's an automatic response. Because this is like, oh no, I'm shameful. I'm not that holy. This is, oh yes, you are. And I think that is the whole process of developing satisfaction. You see, it isn't about, like you said, it's like, I am a queen on the planet with billions. There's 7 billion people on this planet. Every woman is a queen. Every man is a king. And it isn't about serving one another. It's about aligning to grace and poise. And, I can't say how a man does it. I can tell you how a woman ascends to her throne, and you can see Line. She's guiding women. You can't guide someone to do something you haven't done. And it isn't something that she and I feel will ever be done with. It's like I lovingly now, it's part of my queen routine. That's what you could call it, a queen routine, to nourish my brain every morning with holy scriptures of some sort, to walk with poise, to pay attention to when I'm in contraction, and honor me like a queen who is transforming a culture. Like, you understand? Like, it's when we own it, then we are vessels for that thing. So either we're going to be vessels for low self-esteem, or we're going to be vessels for alignment with our divine plan. So that's really the choice, right? That's really the choice. So where do you think? So what would you want to leave? Like, what's the one tip that you could give women today that's listening to this? Like, what would you want to leave them with? Like, a thing they could do today?
I love working with these different identities that I have, and I have split them into my energy identity.
You want to show us the worksheet you have?
I will.
Oh, because
I will.
Oh, this is awesome, y'all. I totally forgot she showed me this. Look at this. Okay, sure.
I am in the process of making my vision board for 2021. That is not finished, so I cannot show you that yet. But in my diary, I work every day with my different identities, and I can show you just. I have found pictures of every identity that I feel on an energy level gives me energy. So my energy identity would be a spiritual warrior in sacred service.
Oh,
And then my contribution identity, that will be to be an empowering and radiant queen.
Yes.
And then my love identity, that is called Abigail Olavsdatter, the daughter of Olav, and that is like my personal associations to a love identity that is filled with unconditional love. But then every day, and I, this would be my advice since you asked me. Every day, I look at my identities, and I don't know if you see it, but here in this
I can see virtue and behavior.
Yeah, virtue and behavior. So every day I connect with first my energy identity, because to do all the things that I want to do, I need a lot of energy. So I have to be very conscious about my energy. So then I find today's virtue for my energy identity, and then I find a behavior. So that could be, for example, the virtue, like to be fired up, for example, and then the behavior today would be I will dance. I will put on some music and I will dance, and I will just connect to this energy, and that always spirals me upwards.
Yes.
And the same thing for the contribution, the empowering and radiant queen. I will just connect with myself and find a virtue that comes up for me.
Beauty.
That, beauty, for example. And then what can I do? What behavior? And today I curled my hair and I put on lipstick, and that's a behavior, that will empower this contribution queen. because if I'm going to give, I have to give from a surplus. I have for many years tried to give freely from nothing, from a total empty. I'm a master in that, but that doesn't work, you know?
No,
So
no. Slave girl mentality does not work. No.
no, it doesn't work. So now I try to think, you know, what can I give to myself so that I can give from a surplus? And the same for the love identity. Find a virtue and find a behavior. And that can be, you know, hug my kids or something like that. You know, it doesn't have to be difficult at all or something really deep. This is not rocket science. It's just to make it, and it looks like this. And you can find your own pictures if it gives you energy to find pictures. Otherwise, you don't even need to have pictures. You try to find
yes, I do.
identity
And
names.
what's really interesting, this is what I'm staring at. Okay. These are mine.
Wow.
Okay. Like exactly what she did. Now, we didn't talk ahead of time. I
Nope.
have 3 goddesses up. Mine are goddess, I am cleansed and in juicy cash flow. This one. And this is work done by Ingrid. She's in Australia, and this is a free packet. And that's where I got like this one right here is I am a courageous femme warrior. And this is this goddess, which
They are beautiful.
yes, and she definitely has. This is Freyja, the Nordic goddess. That's how me and you. This is the Nordic goddess. Okay, Kali. We all know Kali. Kali is to end the, in the self-abuse by letting people walk all over me, kind of the slave girl mentality. This one is Aphrodite, which is I am $1 million messenger. So it's, and they call her the money minx. Make a mint online. You need to activate your inner visibility vixen. See, when you said you wanted to be seen, you need to be a visibility vixen. So that's why it comes from that sensual side, Aphrodite, love, being show. Like, what does a queen show with love, right? So yeah, pictures do inspire me. What I love about Lena, the way she had that set up, one thing that's not on here is what virtue do I develop every day? And then what simple behavior? Because then that gets it in our nervous system. Then it becomes a habit. Then coincidences like what happened with Lena and I become everyday occurrences. They're not just once every 4 years. You become connected to a network of women who are doing this right now. See, we are awake. We've been doing these disciplines for decades. And that's what we get to own today.
And Tanya,
yes.
Speaking of goddesses, I was not born Line Athene. That was not my name, but I chose to take the Athene name because she's also a goddess, And you were talking earlier about this, a queen cannot be completely governed by her emotions, right? It has to be more
balance.
Yes. Yeah. And so I thought first, I was thinking that I would name my company after her. So my company is called Athene Inspiration. And then a person asked me, yeah, but why do you call your company that? Why don't you take it yourself? And I was like, oh my God, no, she is too much. I cannot, make room for her. I had that reaction, But then I was thinking, like a couple of years, like, why not? And then I was slowly integrating, her like an archetype characteristics. And I started to own it more and more. And then at this moment, I was also marrying for the second time. So I felt it was a brilliant moment when I was changing my last name to also, I felt ready to put Athene in my name. And that reminds me every day to connect with that power that she has, you know.
I love that, because these, like, I'm doing, just so you know, in the Patreon account, I'm starting reading again, and it's an international book club thing, Women That Run with the Wolves. And what it does, it goes over female archetypes and the ones that usually we don't want to deal with. And what that does, it then frees up all this energy for, you know, us to embody virtues of the archetype of powerful women. You know, Athena is a consciousness. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's a way of thinking, feeling, and action. The three intelligences: mental intelligence, emotional intelligence, physical intelligence. And that's what your chart is doing. Mentally, you see her. Emotionally, you got the feeling, the virtue, the song, right? And then behavior, you have the physical intelligence. And when those three intelligences are working as one, then the Holy Spirit can come through. It's like a gateway. It goes click, click, click. And you only need to do these practices 5 to 10 minutes, and the seed begins to bloom on its own.
Yeah.
So it isn't about holding that feeling for 24 hours a day.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, right. And I think that's the other thing I really want people to get. You know? And it is the small step with great intention.
I just do this for like 3 minutes in the morning.
That's it.
Yep.
And it sets it into an energetic flow. And then you get miracles like today in this conversation.
Yeah, and it helps me, you know, to remember who I am, because that is so easy to forget during the everyday life.
Who am I? What day is it?
Yes.
Oh, that's right. What planet am I on? You know, we gotta, and if we're going to, we have all those choices. And so we might as well align it and sit on our thrones and create, you know, from the energy field of satisfaction. So
that's powerful.
Thank you so much for today. Could you tell people how to get in touch with you, please, if they do want to connect with you and have a conversation? Just like tell us your email or whatever.
I can tell you my email, but that isn't in Norwegian, you know, so but it is maybe you have to write it somewhere after, Tanya, because
that's what I was going to do. I'll put it,
Line,
say it.
Yeah. Line, like it's written the same way as line.
Yeah, Line.
Yeah, and then it's dot. Birkely. So it's almost like Berkeley, but you have to switch the Y and the E. Yeah. And then it's gmail.com.
Oh, well, then that's easy enough.
That's easy. Yeah.
I'm going to put it in the description. I'll put it in the text when I send this video out. So they'll know how to get in touch with you. And do you have a YouTube channel or anything yet?
Not yet. I tell you when it's ready.
Okay, good. Well, good, because we'll be paying attention to that. Oh, thank you again for your time and your grace and your.
My pleasure. It was so nice to be here.
Amen, girl. Bye.